Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you another approach to using Matplotlib for making animations. In particular, you would use this if you have something that doesn't return an object you can change in place, or if you just can't figure out how to do it. So it's kind of your fallback. What you do is in your animate function you erase everything and make a completely new figure. This is going to be much slower than the other approach, which already takes a while. So this is sort of a last resort. As an example, let's make an animated histogram. So I'm going to start by making some random data for us. And let's say 1,000 things. Okay. Now, if I want to do a histogram of that data, so the animation I'm going to make is, let's say, a histogram with changing number of bins. Problem here is plot.hist doesn't really return anything we can use. So I'm going to call a hist on the data. I'm going to see what I get, put it in the output, and then I'm going to close the figure because I don't want to actually draw anything. So what is output? All right, well, output is, let's see, well, what it represents is where the bins are, how tall the bins are. So this is like how many things are in the bins. These are where the bins are drawn. And we get a list of patch objects. The short and long of this is there's nothing here we can animate. We can't change the number of bins by changing something in this output. So what we have to do if I want to make this kind of graph where I change the number of bins in a histogram is I have to erase the entire histogram and redraw it every single frame of the animation. So I'll show you how that works. Let's start with the code that is unchanged. The first thing I want to do is get a reference to a figure object, and then do whatever setup, except there's not really any setup this time because I'm going to have to redraw everything anyway. You could put some code here that only gets changed the first time, but in my case, there's nothing to go there. The next thing we got is my animate function. And again, you can use any name you want for this, but I call it animate. It needs to take the current frame number as an argument. And we'll put some stuff in there. And then we have our boilerplate code. So the animation is a func animation, which I already have imported into this particular notebook. We give it the fig, we give it the name of the animate function. Go with, trying to think how many, this is going to be really slow, so I don't want to get too carried away. Let's do 20 frames, and we'll do an interval of 100 milliseconds. Because we're sort of changing a lot step by step, so I don't really want a smooth animation in this case. I want something that's more like change, 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 change. It'll do 10 changes per second, but it'll be visually gives you sort of a different style than doing a smaller interval. All right, then we're going to take our animation and convert it to HTML5 video. And then we're going to convert that to HTML code that I can put in the notebook. Using display, I've already imported display. And then finally, we actually do the displaying of the HTML. And then just so we don't get an extra plot, we're going to do a plot.close. Okay, so this is all like what I spent all my time typing here is like basically code that never changes. And now into this code, I want to put what I need to animate the histogram. Now, when you first learned about making these animations, you may have thought, why don't I just do my plot function here in the animate? Plot.hist data, and then the thing I'm changing here is bins. So I can do bins equals frame plus 1. Plus 1 because the first frame is 0, and I can't have 0 bins. So this will give me 1 bin up through, I guess, 20 bins. So this is not quite correct. I'm missing something really important, which is I'm never erasing the figure. I'm just drawing on top. So if I run this, I get a really cool effect, but not what I was picturing in my head. What I was picturing is a histogram where the number of bins grows. But let's just run this just to see what it does. All right, so if you ever see this kind of thing where you're just drawing a whole bunch of stuff on top of itself, it's because you tried to use this style and you never cleared the figure. What I need to do is I need to do a fig.clear. And it's really important that you clear the figure before you draw the figure. Because otherwise, you're going to draw a whole bunch of empty figures. And you're just going to have a blank animation. Clear first, and then draw. And then this will give me the effect I want. Okay, so there's my histogram. We can see the number of bins is changing. Scaling's changing because I'm changing how many bins. I mean, that's all very much expected. So it's just an example here of how you can redraw the entire figure every frame to make your animation. Keep in mind, I only use 20 frames. If I tried something more like 100 or even 1,000, I'd be waiting a really long time because it takes a long time to completely recreate a Matplotlib figure. This is sort of your last resort. There's no other way to do it more efficiently.